Good evening and welcome to Going for Two. This is the only YouTube podcast in human recorded history to feature a male and female host drinking our way through the important topics of the day, as long as they touch the football world, and not in that way, and we have weird background music, but that's okay. So hi Sharona and hi
Hello.
Jen, and what's everybody beveraging tonight?
Jen first.
I am drinking Mackenzie's Black Cherry Hard Cider. It's delicious. It's sweet, but it's really good.
Sounds good. Sounds very
yeah.
good. I am drinking my fallback. I'm a fallback girl. I am drinking Dragon's Milk. Khaleesi in the house.
It's a blood orange goza from Anderson Valley, only available in the fall, and quite tasty. If you're a little bit weird about gozo, it's got the nice orange flavor, and then a Omegang, which is New York actually, Rosetta cherry-aged beer. So before we begin, quick note about last week. You might wonder, why did Sharon have that mean look on her face the entire time we did our show? Well, Sharona and I don't do much of a pre-show, so when I mentioned Katie Nolan, it was out of left field, and I didn't know the context of Sharona's disdain for last week's bid on Greg Hardy. Check out hashtag cultural appropriation. We'll try to spell that first. Anyway, what I did to her was like me coming to her house, kicking her dad in the junk, drawing a picture of a penis on his forehead, and telling her to make me a sandwich. Luckily, I'm hashtag ugly white boy, so all is forgiven. Probably not. So before I do shows in the future, I will do my research and actually listen to part of her show at least. Sharona went all race car and red over pretty white girl privilege, which means our show is twice as awesome tonight because we got two of them. So there. Feel free to retort.
Yes, thank you very much. It ain't that serious, but no, it's all right. I was all up in my feelings about it, though. I will freely cop to that. I just had some things to say. Did you make it through the whole show?
I got about an hour and a half in, and
Okay.
2 hours that's a lot of show.
It's a lot of show, but
I
there's a
wanted
lot.
to get to that part, and you start talking about college basketball. I'm like, come on, that's just for a couple minutes. And I'm like, all right, get to the good stuff because last week you're like, nah, I don't really want to talk about it, and then on your show you're like, I'm going to get into it. I'm like, okay, so certain people get to talk about that.
But poor Jen's
Okay,
so lost.
yeah, I know.
Jen, just briefly, and then let's please move on because it ain't that serious. And I don't have beef with Katie Nolan. I just had some things to say. And it was about the Greg Hardy thing. And it's really, I'll tell Jen off camera. It's not a big deal. And if she wants to listen to my show.
Uh-oh.
Was that Katie Nolan, you think?
Advocates who talk about it have talked about it for a long time, kind of got lost in the shuffle, but when Katie Nolan, because she's pretty and all of that, when she says something it gets attention, and that's the general gist of it.
I had no idea that that was going to get that reaction, and someone just posted it on Facebook, and I saw it. I'm like, okay, let's bring it up. It's Greg Hardy hashtag bad idea jeans. But yeah, we're not here to talk about the past. We're not here to talk about practice.
You don't have to explain yourself to me either. You don't really know me.
We're here to talk
Well, I felt
about...
bad for Jen. She was like, what in the hell are they talking about?
Oh no, I'm enjoying this.
We're here to talk about how Jen has been drinking her feelings lately about the Dallas Cowboys, and how about this, because we're a week past it, but that whole Greg Hardy fiasco, and then Jarrett being Jarrett. How does that make you feel about your team when this is like how they appear in the press,
I mean, I don't really think too much of it, to be honest with you. It's not entertainment. I don't want that to come out the wrong way, but I think every team has their problems, some more than others. Jerry Jones, I stopped taking what he said seriously probably, 10, 15 years ago. And as far as Greg Hardy, I mean, it's a total loser at all. I root for my defense. I'm not cheering for him. But But there's a lot of players in the NFL I don't cheer for, for similar reasons. So I think every workplace has jerks in it, but I'm not going to let him, ruin the way I feel about my team.
What about Brandon Whedon, though?
That's a different story. He makes me question my allegiance to the Dallas Cowboys. No, I'm not trying to make, light of it, but, I don't know if benching him's a good idea. I guess we'll see, but I do know he's not working. He hasn't, I think, in 12 games straight. So somebody's just got to keep this thing afloat until my two guys get back. It's been tough. It's been really tough.
What's the latest on Tony Romo and Des Bryant? What's the latest timetable?
So the earliest Romo could come back because he's on IR would be the 22nd, the Dolphins game.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
Des says he'll be back week 7. Jerry likes to think so. We need him for that Giants game. Definitely need him. I hope they're not rushing him back, but if he says he could play, get him out there and give him some Julio targets.
Yeah, I was kind of wondering, will it even matter if Des Bryant is back if Matt Cassell is throwing him the ball? Or Castle, I don't even know how to pronounce it. No one cares.
I was just thinking, I don't know either. I was like, is that for? I don't know.
They probably don't even need to put his name on the back of his shirt because nobody cares. But Brandon Whedon, he was close. He could have saved a bit of his reputation with the Falcons game, with the New Orleans game, but I don't know if Castle's not the answer, Romo's the answer, but in the meantime, it can't be the guy who's gone 0-3. It's got to be somebody else. I don't care who else. Somebody else.
Yeah.
In the meantime, black cherry cider is the answer, I think.
It has been the answer, amongst other things, mimosas, depending on the time of it. It's been rough.
Well, the other big news is that we might actually see Kristen Michael this weekend. Well, they're on a bye this weekend, right? Next weekend. That's what we're hearing, right?
Yeah. I know the internet's really excited about Christine Michael. I have a hard time getting excited about a guy who was, stashed behind 2 other people on the Seahawks depth chart. But similar to Whedon, I'm open to anything because Joseph Randall's not the answer either. They have 2 weeks to try something new. If there's ever an opportunity to do it, it's now. So go for it. See Mike. Let's see it.
So should people flee the Joseph Randall ship? Is that a fantasy thing about to die? Not that there was much there.
I personally would have let him, 2 weeks ago when he got benched in the, I guess it was whatever game it was. He reached over the end zone and scored a touchdown. But it's always something with him, and he's really not that great. Large portion of his fantasy contributions have come from first quarter, like in 2 games. So I was always on Dunbar, but now he's dead too. So this is my life.
Jen and I were both. I remember in MFL, so Jen and I were both, because you could get him pretty cheap, and for maybe a game or 2 that paid off.
Yeah, Dunbar was going undrafted in a lot of them. He was, he's my last pick, and he was great. He was putting up huge PPR numbers, and just another one, just lost another one. But we'll see. We'll get through it. We need, I think, 2 wins until Romo gets back. The rest of the division is crap, so we might have a chance.
Well, one good piece of news is that first-round talent that you guys got as an undrafted free agent, La'el Collins, how do I pronounce it? He's going to start at left guard next week. It's like you guys have going to have 4 first-round talents at on offensive line. That's not bad.
It's not, but they haven't been living up to their reputation either. And I think, when you lack, when Dez and Romo aren't on the field, it obviously downgrades everything. But hopefully he can kind of contribute too. Like I said, it's 2 weeks. It's coming at the perfect time. This is your chance to make big changes. Make them, because this isn't working. I'm excited about La'el. I felt so bad for everything that kind of happened to him in the offseason, and I'm glad he came to the good team,
Well, I wonder if that's going to set a precedent for a guy who's maybe a second-round talent to just say, don't draft me, and you're not going to make that signing bonus, but if you're an undrafted free agent, then you get to choose where you go, which is like a big deal for a rookie. That doesn't really happen very often. So he, instead of going to a team that takes him, he has no choice. He got to choose the Cowboys and to pick a pretty good offensive line where he's not the focus. He's one of the guys. So that worked out pretty well, and I think because he's undrafted too, he probably can get a second contract quicker. So there you go, Jerry. Be giving some money.
He's really good at the persuasion. Yeah, Jerry.
Yeah.
Jerry knew how to get him there. I mean, I'm surprised they actually didn't take a little more credit, like, oh, another questionable guy coming on the team. But I'm glad they did it. He seems like a good kid.
Well, in his case, in all fairness, that was a weird deal, right, Jen?
Totally.
As was the Randy Gregory thing, and I was going to ask you about him. What's the latest on him? When can we expect him back?
Week 7. I think that's what they're projecting. I guess he's coming along good on his ankle sprain. But I'll listen to what Jason Garrett has to say. I'm not really listening to Jerry. And he hasn't said much from what I understand, aside from the norm. But I'm sure once they start practicing this week, kind of get a better idea of it. There's only one person I care about practicing this week. That's who I'm looking for. The day that they say, sources, Des Bryant will run at practice today. That's what I need.
Oh, and Des, I've been sitting on him. I've been watching the, the reports, and I was really curious to get your thoughts on it. And so glad that you were able to join us tonight, because it has been a rather crappy day. But topping it off with Jen and Zach is, it's just the remedy that I needed.
Perfect.
Cheers to that. Yeah,
cheers to that. Here, I'll drink to that.
Well, talking about hashtag cultural appropriation, what is the deal?
Zach just can't let it go.
What is
Jen,
the deal
do you see
with
the shit that I have to put up with?
Yes. Oh, I'm gonna hit that again. The term. Anyway.
I'm serious.
So why are we so negative overall about gingers when it comes to the NFL? We just can't believe that Andy Dalton's a good quarterback, and the dude needs to work on the eyebrows. But other than that, he's a pretty solid quarterback. And Jason Garrett, like 2 years ago, everybody said he was trash. And now it's like, well, he might actually be the guy who can keep the Cowboys good. But it's just everybody's waiting for the other shoe to drop with those more gingers. It's just not right.
Well, I
just had to throw that out there.
I think what's helped Jason Garrett, and Jen can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think what's helped Jason Garrett as much as anything is that Jerry Jones has stepped back, and Steven is more involved, and he's letting the football people do things. Jerry had the team in dire salary cap straits. I mean, they were, and they're still, they're still climbing out from underneath that. My take.
Yeah, no, totally. I think Steven, is more in charge now than ever, especially over the money. And I think with Garrett, I think he managed to sell Jerry his philosophy without a big personality like some other coaches he's had in the past, who I've adored all of them. And
I couldn't do the Barry Switzer thing, but
gosh.
It was a winner. I mean, I liked him, but I was young too for Switzer, but yeah, I mean, I think he sold them on his philosophy. He's stuck to it. He's had a lot of 8-8 seasons, which isn't exactly a losing season, so that helped. But I'm a big fan. Jason Garrett's a big bone of contention between my sister and I. She can't stand him, hates him. I can't even repeat, a lot of stuff she says about him, but I'm like, the staunch supporter. So, I mean, it's fun. It's, friendly banter, but a lot of people don't like him. My biggest knock is the clock management. He's kind of always had a bit of an issue with it. But, he's my coach. I root for him.
I was talking about this with somebody, and I'm curious to get your thoughts, and you too, Zach. We talk a lot about. I really am hearing some back noise. Are you guys hearing that?
Yep.
I don't think it's really. Yeah. Anyway, I really wonder. We talk about how few franchise quarterbacks there are out there. How many franchise type coaches are there out there? And sometimes you have to let a guy kind of grow into the job.
Ken
Yeah.
Wisenhunt is one, franchise
Well,
coach.
I mean, he's been
Franchise killer coach.
I guess. I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't think that he's, that material, but maybe so.
I just put on mute for a second to see if the sound was coming for me. I don't know. I turned off everything before because I had to reboot my computer. But anyway, stuff happens. I want to know how Jen's doing on her MFL 10s and all that, and DFS, how that's going this year.
All right, so MFL 10, I haven't really tracked it as diligently as most people would. I kind of just get 1,000 emails on Monday and take a quick look. But from what I can see, I'm doing much better than I expected. Constantly up there in a bunch of them, in first, second, and third place. Killing it in the Hello, I Love Booze MFL 10, which I'm really proud of. Yeah, I like that one. I think this is free agents league. He's always fun. DFS is weird. I'll have a good week one week, and by good I mean go crazy because I lost $200, won $200, and then nothing the next week. So I'm up and down with DFS. MFL 10's probably where I'm having my most success right now because my redraft is all over the place too.
I just looked at Hello, I Like Booze, and I'm in dead last, so that's awesome.
Oh, sorry. Are we in that one together?
Maybe you joined another one because I don't see you listed there. I see Remy is crushing it. I haven't looked at mine except in the first week, and I was doing badly. I just did want to bring up that last week, in addition to talking about She Who Shall Not Be Named, I mentioned the Going for Two auction and how Sharona was in last place.
I knew this was coming, Jen. I knew this was coming.
Didn't want to take the joke. She wasn't going for it. Well, last week I came in dead last in Going for Two, and Sharona finished ahead of me. So feel free to return the favor. It's okay.
Listen, Jen, I don't have to check our Going for Two auction league because I'll get the it's either Wednesday or Thursday. I think it's Thursday. Anyway, I'll get the text from Zach. You know what? You're sucking in our league. Have you checked the score? I mean, usually it's well, have you checked the score in the league? You're not doing too well.
Just rubbing it in.
Whatever.
Yeah, last week I just had last year I was in one league and I was leading it most of the year, so I just had this high expectation. This year I'm between fourth and eighth in almost all of them, and dead last in a couple. So, yeah. There were just some players before the year I never even thought for a second about. Devonta Freeman, I didn't even think about drafting him ever, and I didn't pick him up anywhere. Oops.
I've got him in some best ball leagues. It's kind of weird because I was drafting him, and then Tevin Coleman became all the rage, and so I started drafting him, and now I'm caught between rock and the hard place. So. Here's where I am. I mentioned I only have Jamal Charles in 2 leagues, but he's out there in a lot of leagues. And, if you're in an auction type waiver league, how much money do you spend? What percentage of your remaining free agency bucks do you spend on, him?
Chad Kendrick, or however you pronounce it.
Whatever his name is. I'll never.
I actually put a bid in Scott Fishbowl for what I have left, which is $36. I don't know. Yeah, last week was such a weird week. It was opposite week. In my local league, I played the guy who started Doug Martin, Justin Forsett, DeMarco Murray, and he just blew me away. And at the end of Sunday night, he was the #1 scorer in the league, and I was number 2. I only needed Eli to score 55. I got 34. Damn you, Eli! You suck.
Yeah, why aren't you out here scoring 100 punts?
So I got pounded. The Giants just play with whoever they play. It doesn't matter how crappy you are or how good you are. They play close with everybody, which is odd. I mean, I think Jen had 5 heart attacks during that for week 1 game, right?
Easily, and man, when Romo got the ball, it was a minute and a half left, I think. I looked at my sister. She was like, "Oh, great, here we go," because she's anti-Romo, just like anti-Garrett. And I was like, no, we're good, we got this, we're good. And then he marched down the field and, gave me my like one good memory of the season. So, but
Here's a question for you guys. I was like really sucking in some of my redraft leagues kind of early on. So at what point, because I had some combinations of Jeremy Hill, C.J. Anderson, Carlos Hyde, and some other guys, kind of marquee guys who were really underperforming. At what point early on do you decide, well, it's time to Andre Johnson, another example, do you decide, well, it's time to move on and really do some serious, kind of serious type tweakage to your rosters?
Tweakage. Hashtag.
Hashtag tweakage.
I have been trying desperately to save my horrible redraft team, and I've made bad trades, like where I traded James Jones, so I got off waivers to get like Roddy White, who instantly like died 5 minutes later.
Zach.
Like fantasy death. It was horrible. And then I traded for Tevin Coleman, and the next week Devonta Freeman became something. So I've traded 2 guys to my top rival, and basically they're off my roster. I cut them. We have these very small rosters. But I've made as many moves as I can. Like Gurley finally is coming around. I got Chris Johnson, who is oddly fantasy relevant, although I'm still afraid of him. It's
Yeah,
weird.
I mean, that's
He
kind
was
of a
the third
dilemma.
highest scoring running back for his own team last week. It was very like weird. But
Yeah,
I'm
because-
just trying to survive because Dez Bryant.
Yeah.
Because I had
It's
Dez
coming,
Bryant and
Zach.
Deshaun Jackson. I had to cut Jackson because I can't have 2 receivers out of 4 who are injured. So I have been picking up guys every week. I've just cycled through. Like I got Willie Snead this week, and I got who else did I get? Travis Benjamin, because he'd been sitting out there, and hopefully it'll work out. Hopefully the Chiefs will remember that Travis Kelce's on their team this week, because that was kind of sucky last week. I mean, 6 points? Come on, man. It's just to be like
So you
mini
guys
Gronk.
didn't answer my question. How much of your free agency bucks are you spending on Charty Bang Bang?
I'm in 2 leagues with free agency bucks. It's my first time kind of doing it. I've never played with auction waivers before. I haven't spent $1 on him. I didn't bid on him,
Okay.
but from like what I've seen and like how, like the top waiver pickup, people spend like a lot of money on them. I guess all over the place. Like when I get the fishbowl email and I see like the same player going for so much different money, what I
Yeah, it
mean?
is real weird. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's kind of, I'm like, all right, so somebody thought he was worth $85, somebody else got him for $40, and I'm like, all right, I'm afraid to spend it all, and I know at some point you have to, but I have most of my free agent money. I bid $40 on Dez in a league, which was half of my budget, and somebody outbid me for $92.
Wow.
Yeah, which was
Somebody
out of a
got-
$100 budget.
That is wow.
Yeah,
That's
Everything
Yeah.
happens.
it's kind of
Crazy.
crazy.
yeah,
I mean,
oh yeah.
You want
But
like
I'm a bad person to ask about this, just because I don't have a ton of experience with it.
Well, I'm just curious. I like to hear what other people think.
Yeah,
I
of
respect
course.
you, Jen. I think I respect you.
Thank you. I feel the same way.
She's never said that to me, but that's okay.
Well,
Jen,
Because you're
Don't-
respectable.
a word.
I'm not respectable.
Bobby Rainey.
Hey, by the
Bobby
way, he was
Rainey.
Special Teams Player of the Week this week. Just saying, you could have got some punt return points. Yeah, it was actually it was a good week on Twitter because I basically was at home by myself, just grilling and drinking all day. So I was tweeting with Street Free Agent about the Titans game, and once the Bills scored that touchdown, I was like, the Bills are coming back to win this game. You know why? Ken was not.
I
And
saw
he's
that
like, no,
conversation.
we're going to kick a field goal. We're going to lose. I'm like, man, we're like the worst trash talkers ever. Like, my team sucks. No, my team sucks more. No, my team sucks. I mean, that's great.
Well, his team may suck now because Ty God's hurt.
Oh, that's rough. So the Titans 2 weeks in a row have injured the opposing quarterback, yet the opposing quarterback has rallied their team to a multi-score victory in the fourth quarter. Nice. You got to injure them a little better this week. So watch out, Ryan Tannehill, the 5 people who still have him on your rosters. Or Dolphins.
He's throwing the ball a lot.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like, who are they going to throw it to? Because it seems like it's a rotating deal.
Could I ask you guys a Titans question, maybe?
Sure.
Oh boy.
I picked up Antonio Andrews off of waivers. I'm hurting. Jonathan Stewart is destroying me.
Oh god, he's so
I
bad.
dropped his ass today.
I'm about to, but there's actually a guy in my league who keeps sending me, like, trade interest, but not trade offers for him, so that's literally the only reason I'm hanging on to him. But I have Latavius on a bye, Rawls, who's, like, useless, well, not useless now, but, Bradshaw, who is not going to play this week. And, I have Danny Woodhead and Antonio Andrews in. What do you guys think? Can you get me a couple points or what?
I think that he could get lucky in the rotation. I mean, Ken Whisenhunt has come out and said that he basically doesn't give a shit who gets the carries.
I just feel like he's like the back to own maybe there right now, but I don't.
I think he'll get the goal line stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, who's the goal line guy? Unless they're running that, they're probably never going to run that jumbo double fullback BS anymore this year because they lost to the Colts because of it. So he was, the goal line guy.
Which is all kinds of karma.
And he got weird. He actually is getting some targets. I really wonder when David Cobb comes back if he's the guy.
He's another guy on short-term IR, so they've got to be on there for a certain time.
Yeah, keep an eye on guys like that, like Kevin White, who I drafted in like 2 straight MFL 10s over one weekend, and then the next day it was announced he was in for half the year.
Alshon too. It's like it's a big problem.
Yeah, Jay Ajayi.
Jay Ajayi, love you, baby.
I drafted him so much.
You got a guy who really has to suck. Like, I still have like Roddy White on my roster, but because they're so deep in Scott Fishbowl, I'm like, I can't cut him. Nelson Aguilar, Succo. And there's some bad guys out there. Our guy Devontae Adams that Sharona and I own in 90% of our combined leagues. That's a bad. Aaron Rodgers, good pick. Devontae Adams,
This is his week.
Yeah, I think he's back this week, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, I bet I hope so.
Excuse me.
I don't really have much else in the way of notes here, but Jen, so what's happening with you and all your writing and stuff? Sounds like you're spreading your wings a bit.
Trying to. I mean, I got it's the usual fantasy pro still going on. Still writing at Gridiron Experts, and as of like last week or the week before, contributing on Football Diehards, which is pretty cool. I'm excited about that.
Oh, that is cool.
Yeah. Oh, look who it is.
I knew you wanted to meet and see Demon Kitten. I know you've met her. But here's Demon Kitten.
Is this the one that destroys everything?
Yes.
She's super cute.
Looks innocent right now.
I have lost so many things because of this little precious.
It's hard when they're cute.
My cat's only eaten about 6 pairs of earbuds. Somehow the ones I've had have lasted like 2 weeks. It's a record.
That was part of the reason why I had so many tech issues this morning. Demon Kitten has destroyed so many things. But she is adorable. Smokey's probably hiding because she gets tired of Demon and is like, I'm out.
I'm sorry, Jen, I haven't watched any more episodes of Oz since the last time you were on here. I still have 1 season to go. I think, like, the week the Super Bowl's over, I'm just going to go and watch all 8 episodes in a row and get them over with. But it's been too long. What was the movie? I watched John Wick, and that had the guy who was in the insurance commercials. He was on that. It was like bad guy's henchman.
Winters, right?
Yeah, he was on that.
Yeah. You gotta finish it. I have to talk to you about the finale. I love talking finale with people. You gotta watch it.
It was great to see them do like a promo for your show, and they were like, Whoopi Goldberg's gonna be on. I'm like, hey, I remember the story you told about Whoopi Goldberg. That's awesome. Behind the scenes.
Just kidding. Yeah, she was, saw her in passing. Didn't interact with her, but saw her in passing. Yeah, it's a cool job. We have a new episode on tonight. 9 o'clock. Just started, so.
That show will never be over, eh?
It's keeping me employed. I wouldn't mind.
Okay, well.
Yeah, it's been. Oops, sorry.
Let's try. I don't have any for Jen, but I'll try them for Sharona, and then maybe Jen can decide if she's going to join. So this is hashtag over it or hashtag nah. We're going to start with the two-tone gray of the Tennessee Volunteers. What do you think?
Nah, I like it. I would be happier if it were black, but they won in them. They beat that Georgia ass last weekend, and so they can't wear anything else now. Sorry.
Can I see any of your tweets from when it was 24-3? Did we get any of that, or was that recorded?
I made a pact. Jim probably hasn't heard this story. Like 3 years ago, we had a very young quarterback who was forced to come in and start for Justin Worley, who was our starter. I believe he was a junior at that point. I can never remember Nick Peterman, I believe was his name. And he was so awful. They had negative offensive yards in the first half. He was so bad. And I called him an asshat on Twitter.
Wow.
And I was like, he's just a kid. And later I felt bad. I'm like, he's just a kid. We get a little passionate about our college football in the SEC. And so I was like, I'm not tweeting about volunteer football. And I've been very good. I did tweet during the horrific loss to the Florida Gators. I was very sporadic tweeting about the game. I didn't tweet very much. And I was drinking tequila, so I was trying to be very careful. But it felt good. It felt good. It still feels good. I had forgotten how good it felt.
Yeah, well, I watched Missouri get pounded into the ground by Florida. Although, to be fair, Florida basically scored 2 touchdowns, and then it became the punt game. When the announcers say how good your punter is, because he's basically the only player in your team doing anything, then you know it's bad. And I'm thinking of not going to the Missouri-Georgia game because I have tickets, and I'm like, the game's at 7:30, and it's basically like a 12-hour commitment if I want to go. And I'm like, if I go to this game, I'm not going to get home till like 2 in the morning, and then I got to get up and watch football on Sunday, right? Because that's important. I don't know, Jen. What are you going to do? Like, what's a no Cowboys NFL Sunday like? Is it a sad time?
No, only because I need it this year. This year I need it as much as my team does. I'm just going to cook Sunday. You know, I cook in my crock pot for the most part on Sundays because I want to see what's going on. But since my stuff's not on, aside from any game I might have, gambling action on, I'm going to, cook outside of the crock pot this weekend. I have a bachelorette party Saturday night, so might sleep in a little bit during but go to the football game, the college game. Are you crazy? Go have fun. It's a Saturday, right? Is it college football on Saturday?
Well, Athens will be
Nothing
pretty nuts. Although, talk about depressed fans. Like, Tennessee fans are depressed before last week, and Georgia fans in a 2-week period went from, we're favored against Alabama, we're going to break through, and then, like, they lose 2 games, we're like, fire our coach. SEC fans are really knowledgeable, though, because Missouri's quarterback got suspended, and my coworker who went to Georgia was like, he knew the drug suspension rules of each school in the SEC. Like, oh, in Florida they don't do anything, but in Georgia, if you basically step next to a joint, then you get suspended. And it's like, okay, thanks for telling me that. That was really useful.
Yeah, it is crazy. But more than anything, they know the recruiting rules. That's the thing.
Right. Don't tweet a 17-year-old. I mean, it's still a little weird that stuff happens. But let's not wait. We're still not done. Over it or not? Let's try another one. Titans blowing a double-digit lead in the second half again.
I was over that shit 2 years ago.
Okay, we'll keep going. Beer with fruit in it. What do you think?
I've never had it. Don't drink it. So I guess I'm over it because I don't do it. Now, wait, I don't consider a lime and a Corona in that category.
I think if you have to put fruit in a beer to make it taste good, like Blue Moon, I'm sorry. Failure. Hashtag fail beer. This beer has it in it, and it's alcoholic cherries. How can you hate alcoholic cherries?
Oh, shoot. Bandit!
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
It's like Peyton Manning throwing the ball. Bad things going to happen.
So I almost bought. Here's one. I almost bought a malt beverage this past weekend. I'm not exactly sure. It was playing off a tequila angle, which is kind of a way to hook me, because I love tequila. So it was, I think, aged in, I don't know, but have you guys ever seen or heard of beer infused with tequila? It's kind of weird.
Yeah, there's a local brewery, and they have a version of one of their beers where they get tequila beer. Like, it's big to do, like, bourbon barrels and put beer in it, but they actually had a beer that they put tequila in tequila barrels, and it had that tequila taste, which for me I just don't like, so it didn't really work for me.
I tried the bourbon, and it was not good.
Yeah, I remember that one.
I've never had tequila infused beer. I can't say that I have. Closest I guess I've ever come is probably a car bomb.
What's that?
Man.
Like Guinness and Jameson, I guess. But that we're talking about my 20s. It was a long time ago.
The good old days. Yeah, I need to figure out, is there a way that we can go to like a brewery and somehow watch a Vols game followed by a Cowboys game, 3 of us? That would be pretty nuts. We'd have to get a cab or something.
We definitely need to watch
some kind of
event
football
together.
Event, yeah. Somebody's throwing something at the TV.
Yeah. I don't have a college team, so I could at least for this season be like, Volunteers fan?
Let me tell you something, Jen, and I'm biased, admittedly, but there is nothing like watching a game as a football fan in Neyland Stadium. 110 fans, most of them in orange, singing Rocky Top, and just the passion and the pageantry. It really is. And I think I can say this because I've taken a lot of non-Tennessee fans there with me, fans of other SEC teams, and they've all been like, "This is awesome."
Well, sure. I mean, I just love football, so I'm sure I'd enjoy a college game. I've seen the Gamecock Stadium on the day
That's a fun stadium.
I didn't go to the game, but I was in the area when they were playing Clemson, and it was like you could kind of feel it in the air, like the days leading up to the game. I mean, it was taken so serious, and I went to a small college. I didn't get the college football experience. I wish I did, and I feel like even though I'm not a student now, doesn't mean I can't go experience it, right?
No, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and Clemson, Carolina, that's a great rivalry. It's a great vibe.
Oh, you drive around the neighborhoods down there, and each house it's a different flag, and I'm not talking like one little flag on their lawn. I mean the whole house is just
crazy.
Like, decked out for their team. Yeah, it's nuts, but I love it. Like it's something I'd like to experience because I'm sure it just lose my mind. But never, even Rutgers. I mean, when I was younger, they weren't much of anything. I mean, I know they're a name that you hear. I know they had a big game this weekend. I guess they came pretty close to beating. I think it was Michigan, but. Maybe I'll tailgate a Rutgers game sooner than later. Hopefully they won't, spot me out as the old maid at the tailgate party.
Rutgers is going through such a hard time right now.
Yeah.
They're I forget Julie. I forget her name.
I'm not sure of her name either.
Yeah, she sucks, and they're going through a very bad time right now. But they're producing some nice NFL players. Jason McCourty, one of the Titans CBs, is a former Rutgers player. Kenny Britt came from Rutgers. So.
Mohamed Sanu, one of the. I like that guy. But yeah, I mean, unfortunately, most of the stuff I read about Rutgers is on like NJ.com, which is just the local news website. It's rarely anything good. I know the coach was suspended for something. The players are
crazy.
Robbing houses. It's not the nicest neighborhood. So, but yeah, I gotta pick a college team.
What's crazy about the SEC is almost every college is in a relatively small town, but I think 10 of the 14 SEC schools, maybe 12, have a stadium with a capacity bigger than the Titans, and most NFL teams, like I think Washington has in the 80s, and I'm sure the New Jersey one has pretty big capacity, and so does Dallas. But I mean, Athens is what, a couple 100,000 people, and their stadium's 80,000, and it's full every week. South Carolina, they were terrible forever, but they always sold out. Vandy, you can get a ticket there. I'm going to Vandy next weekend, by the way. 3 o'clock, by the way, so I can go. So I'm doing, I think this is what I'm doing next weekend. Missouri Vanderbilt at 3 o'clock on Saturday. At like 8 o'clock, I'm going to a Predators Penguins hockey game. And then on Sunday at 1 o'clock, Falcons are going to beat the you-know-what out of the Titans on 1 p.m. Devonta Freeman, 50 billion fantasy points.
Yes, I'm.
Julio Jones crushing that defense.
That'll be 2 weekends, and I'll be in Nashville.
Uh-oh. Come on down, tailgate.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
I'll be going to Hattie B's again. Let's do that. A little hot chicken. Oh, yeah.
We're supposed to watch that game. You get me. I'll pay for it, but if you get me a ticket, I'll go to both.
I'll see what I can do about tickets. I mean, it is Vanderbilt. You can probably get a ticket for like a cost of a movie ticket. There's the SEC and then there's Vanderbilt, and they're there for the academic profile. Missouri was too, but then they actually were a little bit better than that. But not this year, I don't know.
In fact, I might change my weekend plans for this weekend. That would actually be better for me to change coming to Nashville this weekend to next weekend and just stay in the weekend. So let's do it.
Do what you gotta do. Get some beer action. I'll bring the dragon's milk.
No, we gotta go to that gaming bar.
Oh, Joystick Game Bar? Oh yeah, that was fun.
It was fun.
Some good beers and all that. I mean, it's gonna be a quick turnaround weekend because like I'm basically driving Saturday and coming home Sunday and going to 3 games and sleep.
So you're gonna leave after the Falcons game?
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm still, at contractor land, so I have no vacation, so I pretty much need to come home. And by the way, next Sunday is my wedding anniversary. So I probably should be home for some of that, right?
You really should be now.
You should be, yes.
Come on, Z.
So we're doing some stuff before it. It's great. So Allison's birthday is Thursday, and our anniversary is Sunday. That's how we plan things. And we got married, of course, on Titans bye weekend, which isn't every year. Although technically it is sort of a bye because they're bad. But yeah, that's what's happening.
Did that happen by chance, getting married on the bye week?
That's just how, we're like, okay, let's do it this fall. Okay, Titans bye week, all right.
That's awesome.
And I remember, like, on the wedding day, my cousin giving me, like, minute-by-minute updates of, like, the Missouri score. Not that I really cared, but, that was good.
Well, I think it's a sweet story.
It is a very sweet story.
Definitely.
Yeah, I know. Hashtag football widow. That's how it goes.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, that is the truth. So is Tennessee, Alabama this weekend, or is that next weekend?
That is actually it's the 3rd Saturday in October. It's next weekend.
Oh, boy. So that's going to be like the same time as the Vandy game, huh? Man. I just assumed.
I would not even be able to breathe. So I'm going to be cool checking in on Twitter and watching something else because I would be obnoxious if I were on Twitter and watching that game.
Yeah, probably true.
By the way, I'm going on Roll Bama Roll, their podcast this next week to talk about that game. I'm sure it will be all kinds of raw.
That's good that you're like the go-to Tennessee, fan. That's good stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I called our own quarterback an asshat. I mean, he gonna call.
Just to clarify, did you actually Did you say that actually to him, or just like in general, like, oh, this kid's an asshat?
I just tweeted it out. But it was about him, and it was pretty clear it was about him. And I think the exact tweet was, "Oh my God, get this ass hat out of the game or off the field," or something like that.
Come on, people say worse. That's not that bad. People say worse.
I still felt bad. He was what? 19 years old. I shouldn't call him an asshat. He's doing the best he can. He sucked, but he was doing the best he can.
I mean, if asshat is the worst thing that he's been called, then I'd say that's a pretty good, you know.
Oh, I know our fans it was not, but I mean, I kind of, I hold myself to my own standard, and I was like, afterward, and you're like, that's unseemly, as a person who's, kind of in the media and, doing all these things, and, it just became this whole, okay, I'm going to reserve this area, this thing, this Tennessee Volunteer thing to pour my fandom in. But because I want to keep my Twitter professional, I'm not going to tweet about it. And so, and it was at that point that I was like, I'm going to kind of move back from the Titans because I wanted to do other things and not necessarily cover them exclusively. And so,
Great personal move.
Yeah, and so I think I actually went a whole calendar year. I tweeted it out. I went a whole calendar year without tweeting about anything Tennessee Volunteer related. Although I do, it's kind of weird because I do kind of cover them. But I'm talking not as a media, here's this guy coming on the podcast to talk about this, but as me watching Butch Jones not know how to count to 10 thing.
The going for two explanation. Yeah, that was fun. I mean, at least when the Titans got up 13, they kicked a field goal. Although they did kick a field goal from their own, 2, after they'd just gone for 4th and 1. Come on. That wasn't great.
Don't get me started. I'm going to start laughing.
But there was a play in the first half. The Titans had a 3rd and 7, and they threw a slant to your guy, Delaney Walker, but I call it a Kevin Dyson slant, which is a slant that's guaranteed not to succeed and get a first down. So he was tackled 2 yards short of the sticks because he threw it short. And they kicked a field goal from the 4, and hey, look at that. They lost by 1. So sad.
You guys, let's pour one out. Let me cry on my beer. I have moved on from Delaney.
What?
Fantasy breakups are hard, you guys. That's part of the reason why today sucks so bad. Because I was going to do it last week, and I actually made the roster moves, but I didn't. And I'm sad. I mean, I had Gary Barnidge on my roster.
Oh, Gary.
And I didn't. I went with Delaney. I gave Delaney my boo. Delaney, I gave him another chance, and complete and utter suckage. And it's not his fault that he plays for a shitty coach.
The Gary Barnidge, crotch catch, I mean, that was just nuts. The ball just was, stuck between his legs, and he's like, oh, let me grab it with my hands.
Amazing.
Look at that.
The touchdown is a misleading stat, though. It is.
Yeah.
But I benched him, too. And
I started him in Scotch Fishbowl.
Oh, I wish. 2 weeks in a row for a start-sit I write for Fantasy Pros, I said, bench him, don't play him. It's hype, and it's a bad matchup. And 2 weeks in a row, he made me look really, really stupid. And this week I have him as a start. I believe in him. He's made me a believer. And, I watched him score 27 points on my bench last week in my family league, which is the league I care about the most.
No.
And him, 27, Thomas Rawls, 22 on my bench. Brutal. It was brutal. So I'm done doubting Gary. I'm Team Gary, big time.
It was a Sunday full of me watching Red Zone and watching my opponent's running back score 1-yard touchdowns. And watching my guys get ankle tackled at the 3. Well, I still feel like the weekend's over and I'm like, I haven't actually watched any football because they changed the game every 4 seconds.
Just touchdowns.
Yeah.
On my,
we didn't watch the second part games. The afternoon
the second games at 4 o'clock, it's always punt. Peyton Manning's so bad. The best thing I saw, and this of course was J.J. Zacharyson, he's Mr. Late Round quarterback. He actually showed a transaction where somebody actually picked up Josh McCown and cut Peyton Manning. I was like, oh man, poor Peyton. Oh,
he's still uncuttable in some leagues, and players are pissed. Fantasy players are pissed.
Actually, this week I'm playing, of course it's CBS. They don't know how to project players at all. I mean, for
None
like
of them do.
the last 4 weeks in a row, they've been like, Roddy White's going to score 12 points. I'm like, how? How do you score 12 points when you catch 2 passes for 8 yards? Eli Manning is predicted to score less than Peyton. Okay, sure. I'm with you.
Yeah, their projections are usually pretty awful.
They all are. I think Yahoo's,
It's hard to
ESPN,
do. Uh-oh, I'm
they're all
playing.
bad.
My opponent's starting Gronkowski and Gary Barnage. I'm in trouble, man. I'm in trouble.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I actually made a trade offer. So what do you think of this trade offer? It's Chris Johnson for me for Lamar Miller in a PPR. I feel like Lamar Miller's going to get a lot of touches now.
At some point, they've got to. I mean, at some point, Ryan Tannehill's arm's going to fall off because he's thrown the ball 171 times.
It's got to hurt to see. I just looked.
That's a lot.
I looked
In
at
contrast, like Marcus Mariota has thrown it like maybe 140 times, but there's only like a 60-yard differential between the two.
Mariota, he's the best.
I mean,
He's so awesome. Although it probably hurts. I look at my screen and my opponent's got Tony Romo and it says IR next to his name. It's like, oh. The funniest thing though, in our league, like a guy made a trade and he ended up having 2 quarterbacks on a bye. So he basically was like, I will trade you Tony Romo, who's injured, for a quarterback who's playing this weekend. So somebody made him the offer for Josh McCown. And of course he started Josh McCown and like led the league in scoring because of that. That's just
QB1. Crazy.
like my dynasty league, I was 0-4. My team sucked, and Cam Newton was on a bye week, and I led the league in scoring and won. And it's like, oh, now that I'm 0-4, great. I want Ezekiel or whatever his name is at Ohio State. That's what I want next year.
well, guess how lucky I was? I had Tyrod Taylor, Tygod, as my backup to Cam Newton in like
Oh, God.
3 of the 5 leagues where I have to actually set rosters. And just squeaked by.
Yeah, people were like, oh, he was a bust because of 100 yards passing. I'm like, yeah, but he had 80 yards. There was a play, and I got to see the on-demand, and it was the 3rd and 23, where the Titans' defense parted like the Red Sea. Like, all the defenders were there, and there's Tyrod with the Titans running man defense. Literally nobody in front of him for 20 yards, and he got a horse collar on him. It was just like, the Titans giving up 3rd and 20. Oh, it's terrible. Sorry, Jen. You go ahead.
No. That's okay. No, I just got distracted for a minute. My cat's going nuts. I dropped Tyrod yesterday, and I got a bad feeling that I made a bonehead move. To be honest with you,
I'm
I
hanging
didn't want
on
to do
to
it.
him.
I felt like I had to because I have Cam Newton and Teddy. And I'm starting to think I probably should have dropped Teddy instead.
I would have. I think I would have.
My issue is I don't want to start Cam this week against the Seahawks in Seattle.
Yeah.
And with Tyrod's, I'm of course.
Yeah, right. You don't know.
And when I was doing my waivers on Tuesday night, it was, he's got a sprain this and a sprain that. There's no way no one in my league will grab him. I'll be able to pick him back up if I have to. And now it's like he was taking the first team reps in practice, and I'm like, thank God no one else in my family league is like kind of doing, the research that I'm doing. Maybe it'll fly under the radar, and I'll be able to grab him back. I put in another waiver claim for him. God, I've made I think 22 acquisitions in that league. I go crazy in my family league. I just drop bad people every week. It's bad, but this one I think might have been my biggest flub so far is dropping Tyrod. I think it's going to bite me.
Yeah, I just couldn't do it. I'm not confident Cam will stay healthy, and I think that at least I'm lucky enough that I can ride this out. I had one league it was the league I had, and I said I dropped Jonathan Stewart. I just went ahead and dropped him and kept Tygod.
I had the option. This same league, I have Cam Stewart. Could have dropped Jonathan Stewart, and I'm so hung up on where I drafted him, and I know you can't be, but I am for some reason. Like I said, I have.
No, I understand.
I have a cousin who, what do you want for Stewart? Let me think about it, and I feel like that's kind of the reason I've been hanging on to him, because I don't want to just drop him and have him pick him up when he's trying to. It's bad. I make myself crazy with fantasy. I really do.
It's so fun.
It is.
It's weird when a guy gets like you're like, oh, it's all about who gets the targets, who gets the touches. He's getting the touches, not the goal line touches, and doing nothing. So yeah. I looked at my local league, so I've made 16 waiver moves, and I guarantee 12 of them are receiver because they've just been horrible. I owned Cole Beasley for about 5 minutes. Hey, look at him.
I drafted Cole Beasley in some of my best ball leagues. I'm sure that's probably why I'm sucking.
Instead of Cole getting them, they're throwing it to the running back. How about Darren McFadden? He's actually been pretty solid.
It's looking like he
hasn't broken yet.
No, and he might, by default, kind of have to fill that Dunbar role. So I think you saw it a little bit in the last quarter of the last game. They're trying him out in the passing game, and Joseph Randall just sucks and doesn't want to listen and is a pain in everyone's ass. So it's opening up a door for Dunbar, not Dunbar, just say McFadden to kind of
Dunbar
fill in. I know, I'm sad. I loved him. All summer I said, that's
I was sad
too. It's a shame, but enough of those Cowboys. They're on the bye week.
They mean nothing. Well, they mean something. I don't know. We're getting toward the hour point. I don't know. Might be time to finish that last beer. So, Jen, in less than 20 minutes, can you describe all the sites that you write for at the moment?
Yes, it's not that much. I'm currently writing for Fantasy Pros. Do a start sit for them each week, which I enjoy mainly because I call myself out on it because I really do kind of blow it. I'm a couple on it. Each week when I write it, I do a quick recap of the week before, just kind of hey, here's where I steered you wrong. But yeah, start sit for Fantasy Pros. Writing over at Gridiron Experts, and like I said, as of recently at Football Diehards. So excited about it all. Staying busy.
Awesome. How about you, Sharona? All your various shows?
Well, today tried my patience, but I learned a lot, and fortunately, I am so fortunate that so many awesome women, like someone who's going to do a segment with me Sunday night. That's what makes it worthwhile. I get an opportunity to sit down and talk to all these awesome women. And even though we had tech issues this morning, I pre-recorded 2 of the interviews, and I got Lisa London this afternoon and was able to splice everything together and post it. So the show's really good, not because of me, but because everybody was really awesome. So, yeah. And I'm working right now. I don't know if I announced this last week or not. Last week was kind of crazy. But I'm writing now about the intersection between sports, gaming, and technology. And I'm working on my next one, so stay tuned in for that. But if you missed my last one, I talked about why esports is changing our future. Check it out.
I have to read that because, admittedly, I really have no idea what it is. I see everyone talking about it on the internet.
It's
and I'm
so exciting.
I'm like, you know what? I just want to find out for myself what the hell it is because I see
We'll talk about it.
Totally. Yeah, I'd like to definitely educate myself on it because I just am unsure of what it is. But send me that article. I want to read it.
Well, as you guys know, I'm a gamer, and so it's so exciting for me.
Hey, that's great. I used to be I don't know if this is gamer, but big Mario Kart. I had a Wii a couple of years ago. I had the steering wheel, and when we were, go to the bars and play a little drunk driver afterwards on the Mario Kart with the steering wheels. That was the extent of it, but harmless fun.
We gotta get you that video game place at 2 Bits in Nashville because they hook up the old was it Nintendo 64 with the old Mario Kart game, and I actually played that one afternoon. That was pretty awesome.
I would love that. They have a place by my job like that. It's called Barcade, and they have skee ball and all that other cool stuff. You guys should come to New York. It's a little easier for you guys to come up this way. Why don't you just hop a flight together?
Do a road trip.
Meet in the city and have some fun.
Going for the nationwide tour
to New Jersey. It's a trip.
Oh yeah. it's a trip.
Well, you two just wear me out with all your constant talking about football and writing about football, and I posted like my first article in like 2 weeks about what to do to make, you sometimes events in your life might suck, and you want to make them better. So if football Sunday sucks in terms of your team, your fantasy team, why not check out my article about 5 things to do. One involves food, one involves booze. I mean, hey, you can't lose.
Always good.
It was like on Saturday, I have a local beer place on Twitter, and they had all these beers, and I'm like, I'm getting that crap. And I tried one of each on Sunday. It was very nice. I made wings. I made pork butt. So I was productive while I was sitting there watching football and making comments on Twitter. So it's all good. So thanks, Jen, again for being on. We'll get you back on shortly, and Sharona, of course, for not being mad at me this week, so that was good. I don't know how I did that. That was an accident. I'll try to do better next week. So thanks, everybody, for being on. And as we always say to finish out, kiss my grits.